G'day, legends. It's Jai, that Aussie Metal Guy here with Crannk.com. And today I'm joined by the one, the only Dreambeard. This man
Let's
is carving
go.
out a sound that hits from a few directions at once. There's heavy metal in there, hip hop, there's that modern hook driven edge, but underneath it all, there's a real human weight and honesty to what he's doing. And with the new single High Life out now through Judge and Jury Records, it's a perfect time to catch up with Dreambeard and talk all things music, mate. How you going?
Let's go. Man, I'm doing great. I'm out here in LA. I've been out here for a little bit and yeah, man, life is just great right now. The new release, man, I'm pumped as hell, man. So, yeah, let's get into it, man. Like whatever you want to know, whatever you want to hear, bro. I'm an open book.
Damn straight, man. I always love starting at the root of it all because you can learn a lot about an artist from the first spark. But when you look back, what was your earliest core musical memory? Something that really grabbed you emotionally and made you feel like was more than just something on in the background.
Well, man, there's two bands that really like did that for me. One's like a core memory that happened later in life, but has stuck around longer. But my core thought is always like goes back to Creed. I mean, it's the first CD that I ever bought, and I remember putting it on this little boombox, and I literally played it on repeat, man. And I played PlayStation, and I'd have it booming next to my game, and I'm like playing Grand Theft Auto or whatever with this Creed Human Clay, just like what if, and I'm just going ham, man. And yeah, no, I mean Creed will forever be in a special place in my life. And then REM, that would be more of a song, more of an actual memory, and it comes from on my way to my dad's work and headed to Tampa, Florida, and actually Clearwater at the time. And we're listening. The windows are down. We're in a black Civic, and at the time it was like real cool. It had like a top, like a sunroof, and my dad had a foam bag car, like the foam bags in the car, and it was just in the middle. And I was like, my dad is so fucking cool. And this song comes on, "Losing My Religion," and man, it stuck with me forever. And I just never forget. Anytime I hear that song, I'm just back in that Civic with my dad, and I feel like everything's all right. And my dad's the coolest person, and we're living life to the fullest. And recently we were riding a bike together. He's a lot older now, and we were riding bikes. And that song came on. I had a boombox playing like oldies, and it's weird to call that an oldie, but
Oh, yeah, I know,
it's like,
right?
yeah, but yeah, man, those two are really big for me, man. Those two bands, yeah, definitely like shaped. And then obviously I got older, Corn, Limp Bizkit, those all were like huge influences in my white trash lifestyle that I grew up in. So
Yeah, what a great track, that Losing My Religion. As soon as you said REM, my mind was ticking to that because that was one of my
yes,
first tracks I heard from them as well. And seeing the
yeah,
imagery of the film
oh yeah,
clip as well was absolutely amazing. And you mentioned two bands there that have well, REM, the songwriting to that was amazing, and Creed as well. But
yeah,
the hooks in Creed as well, those big rock hooks as well, you kind of hear a
yes,
little bit of that as well, and what you're doing in Dreambeard. So
yeah.
tell me a little bit about kind of how that evolved into where you are today. Kind of tell me a little bit about kind of what you were doing musically. Were you doing anything kind of prior to Dreambeard? Because I know you've had quite a life as well, which I can relate to a few points of that as well, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's kind of hard to say where it started. Music started for me in church of all places. I was a very troubled kid and got into a lot of trouble. We could get into those stories if you like, but I just was kicked out of school at an early age, like just moved around a lot. And so I would say, shit, what was the question again? I just lost my train of thought. I was looking at
Oh,
Cam, my friend and
Cam
producer who's
Mizell, yeah,
cooking
we'll
right now.
mention about that. G'day, Cam. How you going, mate? I did do my
Sorry, I
research
saw him in the corner of my eye, and
as
it literally.
as well.
But
I want to sidetrack and diverge, man, because like I know a bit about your life story as well, and there are people in life that what really struck out to me is something that struck out that I kind of went through as well because I had a pretty troubled life. I grew up in a home where there was drugs around, and it just wasn't a great place to be. There was police kicking indoors and lots of shitty things happening, and it kind of I real worked out pretty young in my early 20s that I had to step in and kind of break those chains of generational trauma because they can carry on and just carry on into the next generation, unless you make a stand and go, hey man, I need to do something, and a real mental change and fortitude that it takes to pull yourself out of that and change your fucking life and do something positive with it as well. So kudos, man.
No, 100%, man. And so, I would say that like the early part of my life like was very church based. I became a pastor and we could talk about all that kind of stuff. But that was very the reason I bring it up is like music was heavy in that.
Yeah,
I was like on stage 3 times a week for
I
years.
love church
And then
music,
when
man.
I eventually I walked away and for a lot of reasons and I'm still very like I guess metaphysically mind have a mindset of in that world. But
Yeah.
I've changed my view a lot and all that kind of stuff. But the reason I bring it up is because when I kind of walked away, I started a business during that time, and my life was really transitioning a lot. I was having my son at the time, my first child, only child, and so a lot was shifting in my life, and so I stopped doing music, and I didn't do music for a very long time,
Okay.
and I had a lot of friends in the music world. And it wasn't till one time I was on tour with Memphis Mayfire, and Matty was a great friend of mine. I've known him for maybe somewhere around eight to almost 10 years, maybe 10. I don't even know. It's been a long time, and and so basically it was my birthday on tour, and he was like, "Hey, bro, I want you to come up and sing with me," and I'm like, "What?" And so he gave me the track Devices, and I learned it that day, kept repeating it, and then sure enough, that was the first time on stage I ever heard the name Dreambeard. And Maddie's just like, coming out Dreambeard, and I come out and I'm just like, screaming my lungs out in Orlando to a sold out crowd of like 2,000 people, and I caught the bug. And yeah, man, I mean, from then on out, I was like, I got to do this again. I don't know how, I don't know when, and I had never done, I'd always done like kind of like church music. I'd never
Yeah.
done rock, and I didn't even know if I was capable of it. So I started farting around and met a friend on Shiprocked with Memphis Mayfire again. That's how I also met Dropout Kings. So we could talk about that as well.
Yeah.
And so I met a friend there. And his name's Matt, and he helped me build my first track, and then we kind of brought it to Cam, who I had known too for a while, and he like made the track a real track, and we put it out, and that's kind of how I started music again.
Yeah, well, you hit on a lot of points and questions I do have in there as well.
Yeah,
Side
yeah,
note,
let's
though,
go.
Maddie's the top guy, another person I've interviewed as well. So it's funny. I did catch them on their
That's
last
awesome.
tour of Australia. Great fucking band. I went and snapped that gig as well. So when I seen the kind of connection with Memphis Mayfire, it's funny because I
Yeah.
just published a feature this morning as well about them coming over here and doing the tour and a
Yes,
Q&A
that tour
piece
looks
for.
so cool.
Oh,
Oh my
dude,
God, that tour looks so
with
hard.
Bless the Fall, I interviewed Bo a few months for it ago as well. So it's funny how all these things kind of
Yeah,
interconnected through you as well, dude. Tell me, when
for
people
sure.
hear the music for you, one thing that jumps out straight away is it doesn't sit neatly in one lane, which I fucking love, dude. There's that heavy
Yeah,
rock, heavy metal, that metalcore, the hip hop, the modern hook, and somehow it still feels natural rather than forced. When you
yeah.
create, do you think in genres at all? Are you chasing whatever best carries the emotion of the song?
Man, I am such a chaotic person. I mean, I have Jesus on my head and Satan on the back, and like I don't make a lot of sense anymore. I'm probably just some weird guy in the woods that should be running around naked, but for some reason I'm not. And so I decided to play a character that I call Dreambeard, and it allows me to play a character in this metaphysical world that's probably some sort of matrix that we live in. And so for me, music can never be one thing for me. It's too that would be too boring. And so I think the authenticity in what me and Chango Cam right here are doing is like we're developing a sound around me that's like becoming more and more cohesive, especially a lot of the new music that's about to come out, especially now that we're like with Judge and Jury. Things have like kind of honed in a lot. There's still a lot, man. There's this one song we're working on right now. I wish I could share with the possible craziest feature of all time, and it's just so cool and so different, and I feel honored to maybe be able to create a space where like there isn't this expectation of one size fits all, where it's like oh okay, well I want to be in this vein of metalcore or rock or butt rock or whatever it is, and now I got to stay in that lane, or I'm afraid people aren't going to like me. And I think that that's probably maybe like the uniqueness of just being myself. And I have a lot of range, not in like a look at me, but like I can sing, I can scream, I can do some hip hop. And so why not showcase that instead of just being someone that, knows that I can kind of hone into a rock sound and just stick with it. So for me, I like to play a lot, man. I mean, I'll say I'm working on some crazy stuff, man. I don't even want to give it away because I don't want anyone to take it. We have ideas, dude, that are so crazy right now with features that don't even make sense, but it's coming together in a way that I think it's going to blow the lid off this place. I think this year is really going to be a pivotal moment in my sound. So.
Yeah, well, from early on, from you had your kind of felt like you had your sound kind of locked in, your vision of kind of what you wanted to create, that rage track with I Am.
Mm-hmm.
I had the email for this and obviously go back and do my research, and I'm like,
Yeah.
right out the get-go, I knew you were very musically switched on. You had to have been doing something. So when you mentioned the church stuff and I checked that out,
Yeah.
there's been so many artists that have cut their teeth in the
Yes.
church. So thank you, God,
Yeah.
for that as well, bringing out so many
Yeah, for
brutal
sure.
bands from all over the world
Yes,
as well.
yes.
But you obviously come out started with a very clear vision of kind of what you wanted to do from the get-go as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I knew that I wanted to make something that excited me, something that made me get pumped, and I think with Rage being the first song, it was definitely that. I wanted to come out of the gate just being like, hey, here we are, like we're having fun. And then I think I kind of transitioned for a while away from heavy because I wasn't sure if I was only trying to do heavy because of my aesthetic. I was like, are people just expecting me to be heavy? And so I was like, I started experimenting with Better Man, and it feels very like Post Maloney or some shit. And so I experimented a lot. And I think what's happening now is all that experimentation over the last year or
Yeah.
so is starting to become even more cohesive, where I'm starting to say, oh, I like that aspect of me and that vocal part of me. Now, like, let's build this into something that's even more profound and more, laser focused.
Yeah, so looking at the path of your releases, it really, as I mentioned, there's been kind of, this clear vision of kind of what you wanted to do. When you hear that run of songs back now, what do you hear in yourself changing most from track to track and evolving to where you are now?
Yeah, it's really fun to look back at the
Yeah.
some of the tracks and think like, where was I mentally? Like, what was I like? Why did I even produce that track? And it's pretty cool because I think sometimes it's something I'm seeing in other people. Sometimes it's something I'm seeing in myself. Sometimes it's something I'm going through or have went through or feel like everyone goes through. And so it's like obviously super like therapeutic to look back and see like how far I've come and how much the sound has like even influenced me. There's been songs that I wrote that like I connected with later, like personally. I was like, man, I didn't write this song about myself, but now I'm like connecting with it personally. Like it fits and it's like and so yeah, man, I think I look back at a lot of them, and it was really cool, man. I look back at Madness. It's such a unique song where it's super soft and just really meaningful. I know a lot of people reached out to me about how much it connected with them because it's something a lot of relationships go through, especially if you've had one for a long time. And so that one to me still was like a really cool moment. It was with a dear friend that we got to do the feature with, and then we ended up getting to play that song live at a Teddy Swims show, which was
Oh,
sick.
nice. Oh, fuck yeah.
And so that was really sick. And so yeah, man. I mean, I look back at some of these songs, and it's allowed me the ability to connect with people and make magic, man. And I love it.
Yeah, I love the rap collabs, dude. I was I'm a metalhead dude, but I've got
Yeah.
DMX in my collection. I had some Public Enemy,
Yeah. Of
the
course.
OPP, some Wu Tang, dude. I fucking had all that
Oh
shit, and the
yeah.
kind of Cypress Hill kind of started doing that rap metal crossover, and some bands are doing it really well, and you're doing it really well, and you got some great collabs. When you're making some of these tracks, dude, are you like got someone in mind when you're going, hey, dude, this guy's just going to bring this extra bit of level? Like you mentioned, Madness as well had Southeast June. Like, I obviously didn't know some of these rappers, so I've gone out being a metalhead, checked them out, and there's some fucking
Yeah.
cool. You brought some cool ass rappers onto this, man, for collabs,
Yeah.
dude. Are you thinking that
It's
when you're making these tracks, like for example, Madness?
Yeah, sometimes I'm thinking about a feature when we're developing. A lot of them are relationally based,
Yep.
like Sada Baby, for instance, is
Yeah.
the last two songs, and
This next one.
that was very relationally based. I mean, so was Madness, so was Rage. It's like these were homies that I just wanted to create with. And Sada Baby, I had met through more of my like day job, and we became really good friends. And he had heard some of my music, and he's like, "Bro, I've always wanted to make kind of like a rock rap song." And I'm like, hell yeah. And so we basically, he's like, look, I'm coming back to Atlanta, which is where our home base is. And he's like, I'm coming back to Atlanta in a week. He's like, have something ready for me. And we didn't even know if he was like honestly just like joking, or if he like how serious he was. And so I told Chingo Cam, I was like, bro, like, and he had already had some stuff kind of ready, and he kind of spiced it up, and I tracked some vocals on it. And sure enough, Sada Baby pulls up out of nowhere, and he's like, let's hear it. And he's with all his boys, and we play Spray, and he is just like, holy shit. And the whole gang, there's like 20 people in there, and everyone's just like, going crazy. And so he's like, all right. And he literally sits down at that moment and tracks his part in like probably under 30 minutes or less. Like he is and then when we did Void, it was the same way. It was like 4 in the morning. He had never heard the song. He kept refusing to listen to the song. I would send it to him just so he could get ready or fill it out, and he refused. And the first time he heard the song was in the booth, when Cam hit record, and he just started rapping over it, and it was just so cool to see. So these hip hop artists, to bring that up is just like they're amazing, man. I think that's why I always feel honored to work with them. Black Cat Bill with High
Oh,
Life. I mean,
yeah.
insane. I mean, that was something where we didn't even know what he was gonna do. We reached out. Obviously, we talked more about that, and then he just sent the stems, and we prayed. We were like, man, what? Like, I don't know what it's gonna sound like. And then when Cam dropped those stems in, it's like the same thing. It's like these guys who are grew up around, and it's in them, and it's who they are, hip hop. Like, man, it's inspiring to see how they track and the way they're able to freestyle, and the way they're able to channel is what I would call it, the universe, and be able to like spit something out on demand.
Oh, exactly. I definitely want to get into High Life, and we might as well now. It's a great song. It hits really hard as well. There's a lot of life inside this one. Tell us a little bit more about the story, how it kind of come about, the track, everything about it, man.
So I was going through a lot in the last few years, and I kind of I think that, coming from a pastor and being in my 20s, super religious, I didn't do it's this is such a cliche story, but I'm gonna tell it anyways. But like, I didn't do the bad things like that most kids do in their 20s, and like get reckless and have fun. And so I think that like when I left the church and started experiencing things, I wanted to experience more. And unfortunately, I allowed some of those traps to snag me and to pull me into really dark places. And I think that I was coming out of that dark place, and it was like a cry of like, hey, can I break this cycle? Like, is this generationally based? Is this something that all my forefathers have faced? And am I the one person that can actually break that? Like, am I the one in my lineage of thousands of years of people banging in the woods, and finally Dream's gonna break the cycle? He's gonna not allow these things to control his life. And so that's kind of where it came from before we even brought the song to Dropout Kings.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me a little bit about what the inspiration behind bringing him in, because I know the story about it, man. But tell us a little bit about the
Yeah.
story that eventually led to doing this track, because there is a reason behind it as well, which I really loved. The story
Yeah.
kind of connected to what we were talking about before as well.
Yeah, you want me to kind of like it's two parts because it's really like
Yeah,
meeting
get into
Adam
it. Yeah,
was
get into both parts,
yeah,
man.
so
We got the
like
time, my friend.
yeah, so like, I was on that that I mentioned before, Shiprocked with Memphis Mayfire. They had invited me on. I used to do a lot of cinematography back in the day. I had a production studio, and did all kinds of major commercials and all kinds of things. And so I was like, hell yeah, I'll go with my boys to on a cruise for free and shoot some videos of one of my favorite bands and hang out. And so I go on the ship and it's one of our days off, and so we're on one of the islands, typical thing. I think we're in like, man, I don't even remember where we're at, but we're on one of those islands and everyone's kind of doing their own thing. Everyone's with their wife or their significant other. Some of the crews doing some stuff. Well, I see everyone smoking cigars and I'm like, man, I want a fucking cigar, dude. This looks cool. So I get out of the pool and I just go rummage around through the city and I'm like looking for cigars to buy. And I walk by these kind of villas, and there's this dude that looks dope as hell, and he's smoking a cigar. And so I am like, damn, I'm gonna see if he knows where to get cigars. So I go up and I'm like, yo, dude, where'd you get that? And he's like, oh man, he's like, I actually brought this from home. And I'm like, oh man, because I'm, explaining how I'm trying to get one. He's like, hey man, he's like, do you want to smoke it with me? And I was like, hell yeah. So I just kind of like stopped what I was doing and I go up into his villa and sit on the deck and we just start talking about life and God and family and just like it was so deep and beautiful. And we're smoking the cigar, and I don't even know this guy. And at the very end, I'm like, "Man, what's your name?" And he's like, "Adam." And I was like, "Man, it's so nice to meet you." And I shook his hand, hugged him, and I just left. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know that he had just played the dopest set on the beach with Dropout Kings. And it wasn't until later, I think he found me on Instagram or something like that. We got connected and I made the connection and I was like, holy shit, Adam's, the singer of Dropout Kings. And this is so sick because I had remembered hearing Glitch Gang and loving it, and thinking it was one of the coolest fucking things I'd ever heard. And so it was just so cool. We became friends. I started visiting them on tours. They come to Atlanta or whatever. We'd hang out for the night. And yeah, it was a great few years that I got to know Adam and build like a beautiful relationship with him. He was so awesome. And so he inevitably obviously like introduced me to the band. And so I'll never forget like maybe two or three times back that I had seen Adam the last was when I met Black Hat Bill for real. Like everything else had been more of like, a, hey man, and like, but then I go off and I'm hanging with Adam, or whatever, and I never got to really explore the rest of the guys. And so that was my first night. I sat down, and he was the only one in the green room, Black Hat Bill. And so we start talking, and obviously he's a vibe. I'm like, I knew he was the coolest guy ever, but then getting to like really talk to him, I'm like, holy shit. And he's telling me about his book he's wanting to put out. And he's showing this all this anime and these stories and these characters he's been building for years, which now he has a fucking book that's out and it's amazing. And so I'm getting to learn about all this shit. And I just remember we had like the best fucking time in that hour or so together. And then we dapped up and he went out and played and that was it. And that's kind of how we started building that relationship. And then when we had the song, Cam had a deep relationship. He worked on Glitch Gang and so he already had known them for a long time. And we both just kind of looked at each other the day that the song was kind of made and we were like, man, this just feels like a Dropout Kings collab. Like it was kind of like a no-brainer. So that moment, I think Cam or whatever put us in a group chat and we're like, yo, like, Black Cat, like, do you like check this song out? Like, if you're into it, like, we would love for you guys to be on it, and see what you think. And he heard it. He was like, dude, this is sick. I love it. And he's like, give me a few days. We gave him a few days. I might have texted him too many times saying, "Where's it?" I'm so excited. Where is it at? And then yeah, a few days later, man, he drops us the stems and we plop it in, and I'll never forget how mind blown I was. I was like, damn, this is a song now. Like,
Yeah.
at first it was like a conceptualization and a fun idea. And he really, it's his vocals that I think really complete the
Yeah.
track and make it what it is. And so total honor to be able to be a part of them. And then through the music video, I got to meet the band more, connect with them on a deeper level. And that was awesome, man. I got to have a trip out to New York where we shot most of the music video, spent like a few days with them, became like just it was just so much fun. We just got to like party and have fun and shoot music and sing the song on a stage for like all night. You know, it felt like we were in concert or some shit and we were just palling around. And then I didn't even know that Rob lives in Detroit. And so I got to go out there recently and we spent 2 or 3 days together. So the relationships have just continued to be built. And I'm just so into those guys, man. I really look up to them, man.
Yeah.
They really are. They're doing the damn thing. Like they're really in the trenches, and they're the real fucking deal.
Yeah, I love that because sometimes the smallest moments in life carry the biggest connections as well. It's about being decent to kind of everybody out there because you never
Yeah,
fucking know. Just be a good fucking person out there
yeah. Be
because
a good fucking person, bro. For
yeah, man,
real.
because it can carry the greatest connections in life. Just being nice to your fellow human, like that moment with Adam. It was just it led to such it was so much more, and it wasn't a connection like, oh, you're with the Dropout Kings. It was just a couple of dudes hanging out smoking a cigar as well,
Yeah,
just being fucking cool to each other as well.
fucking cool.
We
Exactly,
need bloody
bro.
more of that. Another big chapter, and rest in peace as well, Adam. Another big chapter, part
Yeah,
of this chapter as well as Cameron as well. It can't be stated enough how much kind of this collaboration and work between you guys
yeah,
as well. His name does keep popping up in the story, and he was just popping up over there as well. Tell me a
yeah,
little bit
yeah.
about the path that led you to Cameron, kind of where this partnership started from.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that we keep bringing him up, but Matty from Memphis, Matty Mullins. So I had a studio, a production studio out in Atlanta where we were doing a lot of filming and stuff, and Cam was driving through Atlanta, like back to Nashville or some shit. And so he was talking to Maddie, and Maddie's like, "Bro, he's like, my homie's out there. You just got to go out there." And this was years ago, maybe like 7, 6, 7 years ago, maybe 7, 8. And and so they stop out, him and his lady Eliza, who we have a song with. And so they stopped out and we just hit it off, man. They hung out, we partied all night. I mean, I say party, just really having fun. We weren't like partying like that,
Yeah.
and just be, I mean, I remember we were playing video game. I had
That's
like a
partying at
circus,
our age. I
like
know,
like lit,
coffees and video
literally,
games.
yeah, bro. I had a circus at my facility, hanging swings that were like 20 foot tall that you could swing across, like bouncy house. I had pink staircases, video games, a skateboard ramp. And so when I mean party, like we were riding scooters around full speed in a giant building. And so it was super fun. So we built that relationship for years just as friends. And then it kind of just evolved from there with that first song Rage. And then we did a couple more songs together. I did some other stuff with the guitarist of Attila, Chris, and then me and Cam kind of like revisited like, yo, we should try to like take this to the next level. And that's when he kind of introduced me to Judge and Jury.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like really where our relationship became like a solidified thing. And what I mean by that is like, when I got the deal with Judge and Jury, it was very important to me that like Cam was a part of that deal.
Yeah.
That it wasn't just he was my producer, but also like a business partner. And so I think that that's really what like shifted things in our relationship too, is that it went to like a different level of communion and trust.
Yeah, well, kind of hit the nail. Next question there as well. Going on to Judge and Jury as well. They're a
Mhm.
really cool label, man. They're doing some fucking good things. They've signed got
Yeah,
a whole bunch of awesome bands signed up there. I've been
yeah,
interviewing a bunch of bands off of Judge and Jury Records
yeah,
as well. So they're making some cool moves. They got some great fucking
yeah,
things going on as well. What's it mean? You kind of joining that label as well with
yeah,
Howard and Neil too, man. It's a cool
yeah.
label.
Dude, they're so cool, man.
Yeah.
I got to when I was in Atlanta, I flew out to California at the time because now I've been out here a lot more, but at the time I flew out and 3 Days Grace was playing and it was just kind of the perfect time to like meet Neil, and Howard was going to be there. And dude, they were just so cool. And they're so honoring. They give us so much freedom. It's insane. Like
I've heard
they're
that.
down to die, and it's like that makes me feel down to die for them. And dude, it was such a beautiful time hanging out with them in person. I know now that I'm out here more and Howard's out here, there's definitely like talks of like, getting in the studio and doing some like vocal writing with Howard, which would be really dope, and so, yeah, man, dude, we had so much fun, dude. That Neil was like me, it was me and Cam and Eddie Bravo. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yes.
Joe Rogan's really good friend, and it was me, Eddie Bravo, and Cam, and we showed up, and we're just having such a good time that 3 Days Grace was like, "Hey, do you want to walk out with us in the stadium?" And we're like, "What the hell, yeah!" And so they gave Eddie this like 3 Days Grace hoodie thing, and like we all walk out of the back of the stadium and get to walk with the spotlight like on 3 Days Grace through the stadium, and everyone's cheering and shit, and then they go up on stage and we go backstage and they start ripping it, and it was such a cool experience to just like for a moment be like, whoa, this is kind of what it feels like to have 20,000 people staring at you and cheering. I know they weren't cheering for me, but bro, I knew it felt like,
They're
I kind of
cheering
know
in
what
your
it feels like.
direction, dude.
Exactly. They were cheering in my direction, bro. And it was crazy. And so yeah, dude, they are so much fun to work with. And like I said, they really know their shit because they have actual experience, with Neil being in 3 days and Howard writing some of the biggest fucking songs that the world has ever heard, and so yeah, man. I mean, I feel honored. I feel like you said, they got some really cool people that they're working with, and I just feel like, yeah, man, it's kind of putting gasoline on my fire.
Yeah, dude, it's got some big things coming for you, mate. It's really exciting. You got High Life out now. Yeah, as we mentioned, the Void and Spray is still relatively new as well. So much great music, man. It's only fucking winding up. Got Judge and Jury Records there now. You're with them, man. So what's next on the? You mentioned you're working on some new music, man. Are you working singles, album, EP? What's next for Dreambeard, man?
I think it's going to be a waterfall album, and that's because, like, it's kind of unfortunately the way that people
Yeah.
digest music now. And so, if I want to like really work really hard on a song, I'd rather it be a single for now. But it will fall into like an album, and we'll probably release a couple really special 2, 3 songs along with it when it's finalized. But we have some crazy songs, ideas that I wish that I could like explain, but they're so unique, and we have people. I mean, dude, I'll say this. I'm working on a song with a huge dude from India. Like that's where I'm at,
That's
bro.
awesome, dude.
I'm doing
Fuck
some
yeah.
weird, bro. I'm doing some weird shit that I'm telling you the world ain't seen.
I'm
And
excited.
the next song we're dropping is very vocally driven, so you get to hear my rock voice in a different way, if that makes sense. It's kind of like
Yeah,
a
it does.
modern take on new metal rock, and it's really cool, man. I'm really proud of it. And then we've got 2 or 3 in the bank, dude, with features that are so unreal. If we can really get this through the finish line with lawyers and all that kind of shit that goes on behind the
Oh,
scenes in
fuck.
the music world, man, I'm telling you, dude, it's unreal. I'm so honored to have some of these songs in the bank that I can't wait to get out this year.
Oh, dude, we have to circle back in a few months and talk about that before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Anyone discovering Dream Beard through this track and through this moment, what do you hope they understand about who you are and what this project stands for just beyond the surface of the single?
Yeah, man. I think it hopefully inspires people to realize that we're all playing a character and that you can play that character in any way that you want. That you can look at my life, that I was a troubled kid who became a pastor, who ends up studying all these other religions and starting these successful businesses, and ended up, deciding to do music too. It's like you can do anything, and you can also change. Change is the biggest truth I've ever found in my entire life in any religion, is that your mind changes, your environment changes, everything around you is constantly changing. So embrace that change, flow with it, roll with it, have fun with it, move fast, change. Don't be afraid to try things. And I hope that's kind of what like this music signifies. I'm just trying things. I'm having fun, man. And I hope people are ready to come on the journey.
Exactly. I love that, man, as well. You don't fight the current, you flow with it, man. We can
Yeah,
always change stagnation, man. I love that fucking point. I had to say something, dude,
yeah,
because that's how I kind of go through life as well. I can always do better today than I did yesterday, and I can do better
yeah,
tomorrow than I can do today, and that's a great way to
yeah,
fucking look at life, man. I love it. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you
yeah,
joining me. Got to say, High Life is a great track. It carries a lot more than fucking beneath the surface as well. It carries real impact
yeah,
as well. There's a real story, a real weight, and real intent in your music, which I love. It's been awesome to dig into you, man. Looking forward to catching up with you again, man. Talk
for
about all the
sure.
new stuff you got rolling on as well. Before let you go, I'll give you the floor, man. Any final words, last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you would like to add in there, mate?
Man, dude, just thank you so much for having me on, man. I think that you're a wonderful person and I got to dig into your stuff and I love it. And so man, I'm just thankful. I'm happy. I'm driven to just continue this beast and see where it goes. Yeah, man. Obviously if you want to check me out, Instagram, everything's Dreambeard, dreambeardmusic.com, all that kind of stuff, get LinkedIn and reach out to me and let's get it.
Bloody legend. Cheers, mate.
Awesome, man.